Right, I arrived in Britain in 1977, in July. I came here as a visitor from Canada, where I've settled there, having been through a refugee camp in Austria before that, and subsequently I settled in Canada. I'd like to remind you that in those days Bulgaria was a communist country with one-party system, which you can call it dictatorship. It was extremely difficult to leave legally, so I just fled, disagreeing with the system. That's a very long story anyway. So after arriving in Britain, after 2 months staying here and intending to go across the continent on a sort of round Europe trip, if you like, I was offered a job to work for BBC World Service. What impressed me more than anything really is that in this country, disagreeing with someone is quite normal and it's not taken personally, which means if you disagree with me, there is no reason I should regard you as an enemy. Simply we agree to disagree. And that impressed me because that was something new for me, as opposed to the country I come from and I grew up. It was a very impressive country in those days, and I liked it instantly. So I never regretted staying here, come to think of it. And I find people tolerant. I find them having a sense of fair play. And two principles actually you learn when you come here. The first thing is actually learn the language, which is extremely important. And regrettably, quite a lot of immigrants, in fact, from various parts of the world actually do not do that. And that includes Bulgarians, by the way. They come in here and they watch Bulgarian television on satellite and all that. They are not going to learn English that way. And the other thing is, whatever the disagreement that you might have or disapproval of the type of life that you've got here, traditions, habits, you name it, you've got to accept them. Because after all, you're here. Don't try to change them, to suit yourself. I'm a little bit disappointed with some of the people coming in here from Bulgaria. I can speak only for Bulgarians here. When they actually come in here and they just see this country as a sort of country where they can earn money and take advantage of the situation, if you like, okay, and all that. So it very much depends on the individual, what plan he has or she has. This would be the future generation, actually, of people on which the future of the country may depend, and then they would acquire different type of thinking, different approach to whatever they are involved in, whether that's politics or industry or business or whatever. The approach would be different. It's a gradual process. It will take a long time actually to erase the old mentality and the old way of thinking, which is actually a sort of thinking of entrenchment. You see, they are entrenched in their old dogma, or their old sort of system. It will take some time before Bulgaria actually is sort of is Europeanized, if you like, in terms of embracing democracy, embracing political pluralism, etc. But it's a difficult period at the moment, I would say. The old agriculture is gone as well. Okay? There are pressures being sort of experienced by people as a result of this market economy, market forces economy, and everything is dictated by market forces. So subsequently what you are finding actually is that food prices in Bulgaria is actually more or less the same as here, but the salaries are of course much lower. You need people actually with vitality, you need people actually with knowledge about the world, and You need open-minded people, people that are prepared to accept new ideas. In the future, they should develop actually the tourist industry a little bit more. They should do more about this, because you don't know what you're missing. I mean, unless you go there, it is fantastic. In fact, we've got a large English community living in Bulgaria. Quite a lot, in fact. I understand there were about 40,000, something like that. Yes, it's quite a, they buy cottages there, they buy sort of houses in the countryside. It's the type of Englishmen actually that visit Bulgaria, which is interesting. I spoke to some of them. They like the tranquility of life. It's life devoid from complications, stress, running away from the rat race, and sort of going into a village, growing their own vegetables, hearing the cockerel in the morning, crowing, and all that. This is something that actually attracts them. And they love it. You feel sort of a little bit split between the two countries. And as this famous writer, John Le Carre, actually quoted Charlemagne by saying, actually, speaking a foreign language is actually like possessing a different soul. You see, another soul. Because once you actually get into another culture and speak the language and all that, then you acquire some affinity towards that foreign culture. And then you end up sort of being a little bit split. I wouldn't say actually that's stronger than actually your own sense of belonging, being Bulgarian. Because once Bulgarian, always Bulgarian. You are born there, and you sort of, that you cannot erase that even if you want to. But yes, you feel a little bit sort of, when I go there, they would say, well, where have you been? Because the way I speak Bulgarian, I don't notice it, but they do. I probably speak a little bit in a different sort of way. The body language is a little bit different since I've been absent from the country for more than 30 years. And that shows they can notice this. And that sort of, I indignantly would say, well, I'm as Bulgarian as you are. What are you talking about? But they say, yes, but you've been somewhere a long time. And they can detect that.